Okay, let's have a look at the answers to these puzzles. First, let's tackle the easy one. It's mate in 1 for black, if we can find it. Let's light up the squares. Now, both of these squares are safe for the white king at the moment. So can we attack along white's back rank, with the rook or queen perhaps? Well, these are the choices, but the rook wouldn't be safe on d1, because the white queen would take it. So let's use the queen. Now the medium puzzle, and it's white to move and mate in 2. The h7 white rook keeps the black king on the 8th rank, and white's knight stops the black king moving right onto the g file. But white's other rook isn't doing much. Can we get it to join in? What about these possible checks? Well, if we give check on f1, then we have one rook working along a file, and the other rook working along a rank. And it's usually best to have your rooks working in the same direction. So let's look at the other check on d8. Now both rooks work along the ranks, and it's nearly checkmate. But black can block with the rook. Can you think 1.5 moves ahead? Well then, did you figure it out? The knight defends the rook and stops the black king moving to the side. Final puzzle, white to play and mate in 3, and obviously the white bishop stops the black king from moving. But where is the weak point in black's defence? Black has castled, and the rook has moved from f8 to e8. When this happens, think about attacking the f7 square. The f7 pawn is defended by only the king, but only one white piece attacks it. Perhaps we can move the queen to attack the f7 pawn. The problem is, this move isn't check, so black can find a way to defend the pawn, by moving the knight perhaps. So let's do our usual thing and have a look at any checks first. The b3 bishop can take the f7 pawn to give check, but are there any other checks? The only other way to give check is with the e4 knight, but black has the f6 square very well defended. I haven't highlighted the pawn, because taking the knight with the pawn would be a terrible move. See if you can work out why. With the knight and pawn out of the way, the white queen can take the black rook, and it will soon be checkmate. Anyway, it seems the bishop check is the only option worth thinking about. Black would have to take the bishop with the king. But then what? Did you work out what white should do next? We're going to need to use the queen and knight, and here are the two safe checks. But which one is best? Well, the queen check can easily be blocked, whereas the knight check moves the knight closer to the action area and opens the e-file for the white queen. Black now has two choices. Move the king back to g8, or continue the march forwards. If the black king goes back to g8, the white queen can give checkmate. So let's go back and see what happens if black moves the king to f6 instead. Now how does white finish the game? With the same move as before.